So let me welcome you all to Child Growth and Development, an introduction. It's a unit that is catering for two groups. One, the certificate group, which just takes child growth and development without any other additional unit. The diploma group takes child growth and development 1, 2, and 3 in 3 milestones or 3 developmental stages. For the certificate group, is just an introduction of the same. So as you realize in the diploma, child growth 1 goes from conception of 0 years to 3 years, 3 to 8, 8 and upwards. For child growth and development in certificate, it's a combination of the early childhood ages of this particular child. So we don't have a particular age as such, but it goes all the way to around 6 years, going through the theories, going through developmental stages, going through the milestones of this particular child. So it's an all-encompassing unit that discusses about this particular period in the growth of this particular child. So in a way, this unit will discuss about definition and terms related to child growth and development at the beginning, aspects of child growth and development. Then we'll look at child growth and development from the conception. You realize that if you can get this book, I hope it's clear. This is the book that we'll be using, integrated with the one for certificate, with the one for certificate child growth and development. We'll be looking at both of them. They can aid you out in your studies, even as you proceed on with this particular, with your studies. Then we'll also look at child growth and development from conception to 3 years. That is for diploma 1. But those ones in certificate level, I will include some theories which go all the way to 6 years, because it is an encompassing or a combined stretch of developmental milestones as well as theories. Then we look at the stages of early child growth and development, from fertilization in the womb, the uterus, the fetus, all the way to childbirth. We'll be looking at it in this particular unit. We look at the theories of child growth and development. We look at theories such as the Piaget theory. We look at Albert Bandura theory. We look at Sigmund Freud theory. We look at Erik and Erikson's theory. We look at, basically those ones. They are very important for us to identify with them, even as we go on with our particular unit. It is worth noting that they form part of our studies. We look at the brain development and its function, a very key area in the milestones of a child's development. How does the brain develop? How does the brain work? What are some of the aspects that are involved in the brain development? How does the hypothalamus, the cerebrum, the somatic nerve system, the pituitary glands coordinate in a child, and how do they work in a sense? Then you'll also look at factors which influence child growth and development. What are some of these factors that influence the rate at which a child grows and develops? We'll also look at importance of investing in the early childhood years of a child, in terms of academic investment, moral investment, life skills investment, and then play is very important at this particular level. We look at the importance of play. We look at why play is of essence. We look at factors that influence play in early childhood. etc. Remember, also play has been discussed in other units. Psychomotor activities as a unit on its own discusses a lot on play. We've got foundations, discusses about play, etc. So another activity areas you'll discuss a lot about play. So you realize that play is pivotal. It's very important in discussing about child growth and development. We'll discuss the ways in which children learn. How do children learn? What influences the learning of children, and how they're able to learn, and the challenges caregivers go through in the process of learning. So straight away, we'll go to the definition of terms as the first lessons in this week one. We'll begin with growth. Growth basically refers to increase in height, size, shape, and mass depending on age. So that is growth. Two is development. These are the changes that the child is able to handle as they grow. They're basically complex in moving, thinking, feeling, and interacting with human and physical environment. We consider that as development. Then we're also going to talk about conception. This is a fusing of a sperm and an ovum to form a zygote. That's conception. The fusion that occurs between a sperm and an ovum to form a zygote is what we call development. We'll be discussing things about prenatal care, antenatal, postnatal care, that is after conception has occurred, and basically what happens during that particular period. A milestone is a significant behavior which marks the progress of development. It can also be defined as the term used to indicate that the attainment of a developmental function by the child or the acquisition of particular skills. Those are milestones. Then a child, in our definition, is anybody below the age of 18 years. Though we realize that is as per the Kenyan system. We have other countries which consider it at 16 years. We have the traditional aspect, we have the biological aspect of the child, but for this one we'll be discussing about anybody under the age of 18 years of age. Assimilation is basically process of acquiring new information from the environment and trying to exist within this particular information. Accommodation, this is changing of existing structure in the schema with the new information. It is the modification of existing schemes or schemas to satisfy the required modification of behavior. Schemas, SCHEMAS, these are frameworks where all learning is stored in the brain. It is a property of an action in the environment that can be generalized by other content. That's what a schema is. Then we'll be looking at IDS, ego, and the super ego as in part of one of the learning theories through a psychologist known as Albert Bandura, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the areas we'll be looking at in terms of child growth and development, an aspect of introduction. Then we'll be looking at the process of conception, so on and so forth in the coming up weeks. So welcome so much. Karibu.